start from.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeffrey Geisner for the Obligations of Memory podcast from the Jewish Culture and Holocaust Remembrance Group. This is part 2 of our interview with Nathan Diament, and we're going to be discussing really what Nathan's doing today and doing with his time. And we started talking about Kirszenbaum, so we're going to go back for our viewers who perhaps weren't listening to the first episode and give a little bit of background on Kirszenbaum and why you're doing what you're doing and what you're doing for him and his works.
So after in 1954, we heard that Kirszenbaum died. He was just in the process of doing an exhibition, of participating in an exhibition at the Tel Aviv Museum. My mother and my aunt decided to organize a small exhibition in Tel Aviv. And this was really the first exhibition of Kirszenbaum works. And I realized then that who Kirszenbaum was, because I met him as a kid, but I never realized who he was, except that we lived with his paintings on our walls. So after we had this small exhibition, we started trying to find out what is left from Kirszenbaum. And at the end of the 1990, I decided that I should quit my job. I was managing companies and director in companies in Israel. And I decided to start making research, trying to find out what happened, who he was, and if it was really important. I went to the Israel Museum and met one of the main persons there. He came to my place and he told me, Nathan, don't let him die. He was an important person. He was an important artist, and it's a pity that he has disappeared. Don't let him die. I went to the Jerusalem University and I showed the paintings, some of the paintings that we had, to the responsible of the Department of Art at Jerusalem. She told me, Nathan, if you decide to do something, it's an important painter, come back to me. So I came back to the place I was working, to the president of the group. I told him, I'm leaving. So he asked me, what do you want? Do you want something? He thought I wanted money. And I said, no, until now, it was for surviving. From now on, it's for living. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, I'm going to deal with the revival of Kirszenbaum. And I told him about the paint, and then he said, okay, so it's obvious that you have decided what to do. I went back to Jerusalem, to the university, and then for 2 years, I studied there about the artist period. I didn't want to have a doctor or a professor. I wanted to know about Kirszenbaum. And that's how I really started doing my research on Kirszenbaum. My family got involved. We made a website, and through the website, we started getting contacts, and people came and contacted me and told me, let's meet. And we met people in France, in France, we met some person that said, my father, he was the teacher of my father, he was called Lindegreen, and we have works of him, and I started seeing his work there. Then I saw some works at exhibition in Paris at the Museum du Montparnasse, and little by little I started finding out about the painter. I discovered also that Alex de Rothschild gave many of his paintings to the Israel Museum. And I tried to get in touch with the family of Alex de Rothschild, and I succeeded to meet Guy de Rothschild. And he told me that after the war, Alex de Rothschild got involved in trying to save many Jewish artists that after the war were in bad mental situation. And little by little, he became her teacher. And he became nearly a member of the family. And when I met him, he said, oh, Kirshi, we know him. He was a great person. Alex de Rothschild told him that he's got to leave Europe, to go to another world, to forget about the Holocaust. So because because during the Holocaust, he lost his wife, he lost, as I told you before, all his works. And he went to Brazil, he came back, he started really getting back to life, and he became one important painter in France. He participated in some exhibition. Unfortunately, in 1954, he died. So, and since then, I've really, since my studies, after finishing my studies on his website, I started traveling, and then at a certain point of time, we published a book with the paintings that we found and with the different, so it was a book, it's called the J.D. Kirszenbaum, 1900-1945. And following that, we had an exhibition in Israel, in En Harod, and then in Tel Aviv at the Holocaust Museum. And then we had an exhibition in Paris, and also an exhibition in Croatia, and recently an exhibition in Germany. And at the end of this year, we're going to have an exhibition in Paris, in the place where was his studio. One of the things that I discovered following my research was that Kirszenbaum was not only an important painter, he was also an important caricaturist. In the 1920 was when he was in Germany under the name of Dudovany. So recently we had several exhibitions of the caricature also. So today really the name of Kirszenbaum is already something. We hope to have some future exhibition, hopefully maybe one day in the United States also.
So that's very interesting. So who has ownership of all of these paintings today?
So what I succeeded to find is that, as I told you, we found quite a lot of works that Alex de Rothschild gave to the Israel Museum. We discovered in the French National Collection. It was I was at the Pompidou Museum trying to find out something about him. They have a library called the Kandinsky Library, and they told me, see if in the French National Collection there is something. The French National Collection is a collection that the French government has created in 1800. Every year they buy works of painter they believe will be important for the nation. So after the end of the war in 1944, Kirszenbaum contacted them and said, I have nothing, I have no more money, I have nothing left. Maybe you are ready to see the works I've done. So he came to the museum, he showed them the works. And after seeing this, they said, okay, we buy, and they bought 4 works. And you know, when I was there, they told me this story. They showed me some of the works, and one of the painting was completely black. And I had in the archives of my uncle the same picture, but in color. So I came back home and I called them and I said, look, I don't understand. You showed me black and white paintings, but it should be in color. So a few days later, I get a mail from them. We have cleaned it. Look at it now. And it was in great colors. So this is one of the things that I mentioned before. You have got to meet the people. You have got to discuss with them, and you speak about one thing, and a second thing happens. So this is really how.
Nathan, how did they make a color from a black and white?
Because most probably it's when you keep the works in a file for years. And it was, he painted it in the 1940 or something, or 1950, I don't know, but it was more than 50 years in some files somewhere in nowhere. But they cleaned it, and it's great.
They cleaned
it.
So,
this is, you know, what you have got to do. And what is interesting is that the first exhibition was in En Harod, which is in Israel. And the person that I met and I showed her, the curator and the head of the museum, she told me, Nathan, it's great. He's a great artist. We are going to have an exhibition. And we went out, you know, and when we went out, she told me, Nathan, but don't forget that I need around $60,000 to $100,000. So I was a bit surprised, you know, I never realized that you need money also for this. I was sure a museum, yeah, they've got the money. So I came back home and I said, I'm going to think about it. Came back home, I said, well, how do I start this? And I was thinking about it. And I said, first I say yes. This doesn't cost a lot of money to say yes. And then I said, no, what am I doing? And I met different people, and I had a meeting also with the husband of Alex Rothschild. I left him a big file and saying that I want to see him. I wanted his mother to be mentioned at the opening of the exhibition. This was, I said, I'm not going to Rothschild for money. You go for $1 million, but you don't go for 50,000 or 20,000. So I met Rothschild, and he was great. He told me about Kirszenbaum. He said Kirsch was a member of the family. And at the end of the meeting, he said, I told him, I want you to make an introduction to the book that I'm printing. He said, yes, with great pleasure. And I go, and he comes to the lift with me. I want to shake hands and say, no, I take you downstairs. I said, Rothschild taking Nathan, who is Nathan? So we go downstairs and I want to shake his hand. Say, no, I take him. And he brings me to outside his place. And I'm surprised, you know. And then he said, Nathan, we spoke for 2 hours. How are you managing with money? And I said, I didn't come to you for money, but I don't know how to manage. And I told him about what we had in Sharon. He said, Nathan, I'm going to give a certain amount of money from my own pocket, not from my foundations. But tell everybody that Rothschild is involved. And it was incredible. I came back, I told everybody, and many people came to me and said, Nathan, don't tell anybody, I want to give $10,000, $5,000. And suddenly we had the money. And we had the same with the book in France. We published the book, many people helped us, and that's how everything started.
Now you're writing a book, is that right?
We published a book. I'm writing a book, but it's the personal story, what I've told you until now. This is the book I'm writing about, because what I think is that life is difficult, but there are so many positive things. And let's speak about it. We have a great family. People at the Yad Vashem, we speak about the Holocaust of these people that were saved. They said, we have a great family. We have something great. So let's speak about the nice thing. Let's speak about the positive thing. And when I speak about Kirszenbaum, today people know him. It's something positive. So let's try to be involved in positive things.
So tell us a little bit before our time runs out, what you're doing at Yad Vashem.
At the Yad Vashem, I'm a member of the Committee of the Just. The Committee of the Just, we have until now around 27,000 people that were recognized as just among the nations. And to be recognized, you have got, it's non-Jewish people that took care and saved people, not for money, not for financial reason, and were in danger. Now, beforehand, until several years ago, you could call the survivors. Now it's more and more difficult, because you call the second generation, the third generation, and everyone is trying to tell you. So it's hard work, but it's great. You know, there are these people, when you hear the stories and what they did, and not for money, and you say they are great people. Again, you know, I come back to what I said before. Let's see what is positive in life. And this is what we are doing. Once a month, we are having meetings with a group of people. Decisions are taken at the meeting. One of the person of the committee is presenting, and then we have a discussion no political influence, no money influence. You have 10 people sitting in the committee trying to find out and taking decision and making decision for something great.
Are these all the?
And I'm sure that we'll have many more.
Are these all righteous non-Jews, or these are Jews as well?
So sorry.
Are these righteous that are non-Jews
Yes, it's only for non-Jewish people, because we found out that it's very difficult to know when it's a family member or somebody that is linked to your Jewish side to a decision. So what we are trying to do is we don't recognize them, but we send them some thanks, and we are trying to keep at Yad Vashem the stories, because we think that to keep the stories of these great people, Jews or not Jews, is very important for the next generations. But the title is given to non-Jews. That's I think it's important, because when there are Jewish people, and we found it all in several of the files that we got, it's very, very difficult to assess if they were saved because they were Jews or because the people that saved them were great. So,
right,
so I think there are discussions about it. I think
just about to wrap up. So I want to ask you two questions. What is next? What is on your bucket list? Do you know what I mean by bucket list?
Yes. First of all, I'm trying to get younger. So it's a bit difficult, and I'm not sure I'll succeed. But it's on the list. No, the second.
Maybe there's a vaccine. Maybe there's a vaccine for that.
Yes, maybe, let's be optimistic, The second thing is, let's grow a family and be happy with the family, and let's hope they are near to you. That's the second thing. Third thing is, we go on with the Kirszenbaum program, and we are looking now, maybe at a certain point of time, there is already a market, works are being sold, but after the next exhibition, maybe we'll try to find a place where many of the works will be presented. So I hope maybe one day we have an exhibition in the United States. I'm far away from the United States, and the personal contact, as I mentioned before, is so important. When you're far away, it's completely different. But hopefully, after the exhibition, the next one is in France. We had two exhibitions of the caricatures, one in Germany at the Bauhaus schools, and one in Jerusalem. So let's hope that after the one in France, there will be further development. All the material we've got that is concerned with Kirszenbaum, I'm going to donate to the Pompidou Museum in Paris.
Very nice.
They ask for it, and I think it is very important. So there are activities, and I'm working at Yad Vashem. I'm also involved in a group that is called Sarel. These are young people that are coming to Israel. They come for 10 days, 2 weeks to the Israeli army, not to military units, but just to help the army. So we have thousands of people that are coming here. Again, positive. When they come back from Israel, all of them are nearly Israelis.
So how old are your grandchildren?
The grandchildren are 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. And there are 4. One boy, three girls.
Okay, so you're working at Yad Vashem. Have you recorded your testimony at Yad Vashem?
Yes, from our family side, there are 3 just among the nations from that saved us. One that saved my parents that were hidden in a flat in Brussels. One of the people that saved my young brother people, as I told you before, and one of the people that saved me, the one that saved me, came to Yad Vashem when they got when they got the title. One nice story, just to end maybe our meeting, is that when my daughter got married, we invited many of our friends, including the family of the people that saved me. And the daughter of the people that saved me, that was born just after the war, was sitting with us, and everybody introducing himself. And then she said, I would like to tell you something that maybe not all of you know, is that I live because of Nathan. Because when Nathan left us, he was called Albert then, it was so sad at home that my parents decided that they wanted to have somebody to come instead of Nathan. So I came instead of Nathan. So I think this tells also something positive and very beautiful.
Well, again, I want to thank you, Nathan Diament, for joining me for 2 episodes of the Obligations of Memory podcast. I'm so honored to meet you virtually and have you tell us your story. And I hope to have you come to our programming so that I can introduce you to all of the members of the group, as well as the survivors who come. So thank you again for spending a good amount of time with us, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you very much. And whenever I can keep in touch with you or have contacts, and come and pay us a visit under the sun in Israel.